For 27 years between 1944 and 1971, millions of Americans worked hard to make sure they were able to get their piece of the American dream. If you were able to buy a house, have a family, and have a good job, or were running your own business, you were living the American dream. And it was the first time in history the working class was able to feel real pride about their station in life. It's easy to forget that for most of human history, up until the late 19th century, there were the haves and the have-nots. You were either rich or you were poor. There was no middle class. But by the 1950s, the middle class in the United States was exploding. By 1971, 61% of the country found themselves in the middle class. The problem was that no one knew the decline was already on the way due to several factors, the major one being inflation. Presidents Nixon, Ford, and Carter all fought a losing battle with inflation at some point during the 70s. The solutions created during this decade would eventually lead to the problems our country is facing today. For example, President Nixon took us off the gold standard in 1971, which changed the rules of money moving forward. In 1974, the Employee Retirement Income Security Act, or ERISA, was passed. The rules of the system changed once again. This act was passed to fight against corporations who weren't paying their retired workers money they promised them, so they could boost their profits instead. The government thought 401k accounts, which came out of ERISA, would fix the problem. Almost 40 years later, though, workers are now forced to figure out retirement all on their own. Most people have jobs, they raise families, and they contribute to society. They don't study money. And yet these are the same people being asked to take care of their own retirement. Is there any wonder why 25% of Americans have less than $10,000 saved for retirement today? Another rule the system changed was the government slashing funding for schools. Before 1992, the federal government subsidized student loans. But once the Higher Education Act of 1965 was amended, students now had to bear the weight of paying back the interest on these loans. Look at how much four-year public education increased after 1992. Today, the average cost for a public school four-year degree is more than $40,000. For private school, it's over $130,000. Now look at the income charts for people with degrees versus those who don't. You can see how the people with degrees saw their incomes rise steadily over time, while people doing jobs requiring less skill saw their incomes drop over the same time span. So today, with student loan debt sitting around $2 trillion, the only way for you to land a job that pays you well is to have an advanced degree, and the only way to get that advanced degree is to mortgage your future away by getting loans you will spend many years of your life paying. See, the system that you are a part of is a system you have little to no control over. You can choose to fight against the system, or you can choose to figure out how to make the system work for you. The idea of achieving the American dream has become so difficult for today's young adults that many don't believe achieving it is possible any longer. But it is possible if you change your approach. If you try to use the same strategies the generations before us used, you're never going to win. The system they were a part of no longer exists. The rules have changed. And to be successful within the system today requires a whole new way of thinking. Working hard is still a requirement, but working smarter is much more important than ever before. It's these kinds of ideas that we at Start From Scratch Now provide our audience. We have a message that resonates with people who are sick and tired of struggling to make ends meet, month in and month out. People who feel like they too deserve a shot at the American dream. At Start From Scratch Now, we work on the one area of your life that will translate into real success in all areas of your life: your mind. Here's why. Today, only 50% of Americans are now part of the middle class. And yet studies have found that as many as 70% of people identify with living a middle-class lifestyle today and having a shot at living the American dream, even though only 50% qualify as middle class. You can feel like you're doing well, but facts are facts. This map from the Economic Innovation Group shows us the areas of the United States where people have a shot at living the American dream right now. The numbers don't lie. Only about 50% of the population has a chance of living that dream. For the rest, they get to live the American nightmare. This is why Start From Scratch Now was created, to help people serious about living the American dream see things from the proper perspective. How you think about money, investments, saving, credit, and debt is crucial to the decisions you make moving forward. Start From Scratch Now provides the right kind of people with the mental software needed to achieve the American dream today. Strategy is everything. You can have all the best tools, tactics, and techniques, but if your strategy stinks, you're still going to lose. The system is never going away, and the majority of people are going to continue to struggle because they're waiting for the government to save them, or because they use outdated strategies hoping it will somehow work for them. One fact you can rely on that can no longer be disputed is the idea of the government coming to save you. No one is coming to save you. In today's system, you can only save yourself. If you have made a decision to finally win, then we can show you how to start now, from scratch.